David Loyne sends a special report from the besieged Libyan city of Misrata, where rebels believe the deployment of NATO helicopter gunships could greatly turn the war in their favour. The highly addictive new drug that's blighting the lives of the poor in Brazil. Paulo Cabral reports from the Amazon, where the oxy drug first took hold. They've been called kamikaze pensioners. Roland Burke meets the grey-haired army on a mission to tackle Japan's nuclear crisis. And the flash mob phenomenon. David Silito tries to discover if there's any point to street performances by hundreds of people who are strangers to one another. Hello, welcome to Reporters with me, Zainab Badawi. The besieged city of Misrata in western Libya is counting the cost of its struggle to free itself. It's recently received the French philosopher Bernard-Henri Lévy, the man credited with persuading President Sarkozy to join the air offensive against Gaddafi's forces. Our correspondent David Loyne reports now from two streets in Misrata. One where rebels are cleaning up after the fighting in the civic centre. The other street is now the front line on the outskirts of the city.
Tripoli Street in Misrata, scene of the worst clashes in Libya's war so far. Burnt-out tanks lie where they were hidden in domestic garages. Everyone I've spoken to in this city lost a family member, a toll that must number thousands, a heavy price to pay in a small city. France joined bombing raids to stop this, partly at the urging of a philosopher who says what he saw here was a war crime.
It will be an unprecedented example of savagery and barbarity. What I saw in Misrata, in the west part of Misrata, frankly, I never saw in Sarajevo such a brutality, such useless violence, these tanks shooting the 5th floor of the civilian buildings. The people of this city show an incredible example of courage, dignity and spirit of resistance.
The latest commodity to break Misrata's siege is gas for cooking bottles. Day-long queues quickly formed. With deliveries coming in only by sea, no one knows when the next supply will come. With the front line now 20 minutes drive away, it's time to pull the anti-tank barricades out of Tripoli Street.
It'll be some time before this city returns to anything like normality, but for the residents of Misrata, taking the barriers down from Tripoli Street is a very welcome sign.
But there's not really a chance to return to normal life until the fall of the Gaddafi regime. On the Misrata front line, anti-aircraft guns being used against Gaddafi's army. Behind them, rebels provide covering fire to the privately owned four-wheel drive vehicles as they withdraw from another assault. It's like this every day, firing when they see movement, then falling back to what's become a fixed front line.
It's a good defensive line, but not strong enough to go on the offensive very much further from here for now. The arrival of British Apache helicopters and French Tigers could be enough to make the difference with the offensive punch that they carry.
The palm trees and olive groves are more difficult to advance across than the desert further east near Benghazi. A soldier who defected from Gaddafi's forces early in the campaign provides coordinates to NATO of tanks and artillery. He says the tanks are so well camouflaged they look like moving trees. Reinforcements arrive just as rations are handed out. A drive-in takeaway provided by one family. Tomorrow another family will do the job. There are very few trained soldiers in this citizen army. Mohammed is a truck driver, another Mohammed is a mechanic. And there's a welcome back for Mahmoud, a greengrocer in normal life who's returned a day after being injured. Mahmoud says that with the help of Apache helicopters, Gaddafi's artillery and Grad rockets will scatter, and then they can advance to Tripoli. Many of the fighters on one important flank are English language students, commanded by their professor.
All people should leave their jobs, because even we can't work in our work in this situation. So the situation requires all people, regardless their jobs, to join here to fight for freedom.
This makeshift force faces its toughest test. They stand just 3 hours' drive to Tripoli on a clear road, but the road ahead is far from clear. David Loyne, BBC News, on the front line west of Misrata.
Now, it's not as though Brazil doesn't have enough of a drugs problem. Now a new drug is making its way into the country's biggest cities. Oxy is made from the leftovers of cocaine refineries in the Amazon. After taking hold in the region, it's now becoming popular in other parts of Brazil. Paula Cabral reports.
On dark street corners in the Brazilian Amazon, a powerful and deadly drug has become more popular than crack cocaine. It's called Oxy, and the street price is about $1 a hit. Those who use it know that while the price is low, the cost is high.
I am homeless, and this is not an easy life. And I have to find money for drugs every day. If I don't have them, I can't sleep. I feel anguished.
The Oxy is not exactly a new drug. Actually, it's been around here in the Brazilian Amazon for at least 2 decades. But over the last few years, police has been finding much more of it on the streets. As we can see here in the police depot, about 80% of the drug stored here is Oxy.
Oxy is made from leftovers. The residue of cocaine is mixed with chemicals such as quicklime and kerosene. It's a dirtier version of crack. The authorities say that more of the drug is being shipped to other parts of Brazil and that the population using it is changing too. It remains the drug of choice for the poor in the Amazon region, but researchers say its grip is starting to reach into the upper and middle classes. This police video shows a bicycle stuffed with Oxy. It was about to be shipped to bigger markets. In this rehab community in Belém, it's clear that Oxy has taken its toll.
The mix of chemicals, such as gasoline and kerosene, that are used to produce Oxy, damage the users' bodies. And they also have mental issues like delirium and persecution paranoia.
I was a police officer, but I had to retire. My superiors thought I was crazy, but actually it was the drug use. Then my family left me. My wife, my children, they all left. I sold everything I had at home, and I started stealing.
The people here already know how deadly Oxy is. But as its impact reaches the rich cities in the south, calls for a national strategy to fight its spread are growing stronger. Paulo Cabral, BBC News, Belém, in the Brazilian Amazon.